What's going on, everyone? So we just wrapped up shooting a commercial for Celsius for the brand new lemon lime flavor. And it ended up being one of my most, if not my most favorite commercial that I've ever shot. What made this commercial so much different than anything that I've done in the past is that we had such a diverse shot list. There were so many different filming techniques that we used in this commercial, some of which I've never even done in my entire life. And as challenging as it was at times, it was a ton of fun seeing it all come together and create an epic commercial. So in today's video, I'm going to be walking through all 10 shots and what it took to pull off each and every one. So we decided to kick off this commercial with a little stop motion, which is the filming technique that I've never done in my life. I don't think I've ever done it. Not even like school projects or like anything. But both Nate and I had a good understanding of how stop motion works, so we decided to test it out with a few lemon and limes crossing each other. And to be honest, we didn't know exactly if the shot was going to work or not. We knew that we needed about 10 shots per second of filming, so we were trying to keep that in the back of our heads. I was in charge of 3 rows, Nate was in charge of the other 2, and we were just moving the lemons and limes right past each other. The only problem was we weren't going at consistent speeds. There was a little delay, but it ended up turning out very good, and we were actually super stoked with the result. And since it was a pretty short shot, we decided to bounce the video so it would play forward and then play the same video backwards right after that to make the shot twice as long. So although it might not be the best stop motion you've ever seen in your life, we were pretty stoked with how the final result turned out. So before we get to the next shot, I just want to take a second to thank our sponsor of this week's video, Storyblocks. Storyblocks has over 1 million assets to help enhance your videos, like 4K and HD stock footage, templates, music, sound effects, images, and more. As a creator, one of the biggest problems I run into is that I never know exactly every shot that I need until after I've finished filming and have begun editing. So one of the things that I realized I needed for this project was just a simple lime shot dropping into the fish tank. So I went into Storyblocks and typed in lime splash shot and ended up finding a shot of a lime falling into the fish tank, which you might think wouldn't be the biggest deal of just going back into the studio and re-recording that simple little scene. But if you're someone like me and you're consistently working on so many different projects at a time, it actually is a huge deal going back and having to redo even one simple shot. So to be able to find high quality footage that matches what I've already shot just saves me so much time and headache. So if you guys want to learn more about Storyblocks, I'll put everything you need to know about them in the description box below. Again, thank you Storyblocks for sponsoring this week's video, and on to the next shot. For this shot, we placed a handful of lemon and lime slices in between 2 pieces of glass and then poured water through it to create a really unique looking macro shot. This was my second favorite shot from the shoot, and it's definitely something I plan to recreate for a future commercial. So in my opinion, a commercial isn't a commercial unless it has a classic explosion shot in it. So the reason why explosion shots look so good on 120 frames a second is because the fruit or whatever you're tossing up into the air pauses for a second before it starts falling back down. We'll use my fingerless gloves as an example. If we were to just drop this past the frame, it moves so quickly that even on 120 frames a second, it doesn't look that good and it looks very blurry. But if we were to toss them in the air like that, they kind of pause for a second before they fall back down, and that is where you can capture incredible slow motion video straight out of 120 frames a second.
Everything's gonna be alright.
So as good as those explosion shots look on 120 frames a second, unfortunately, there's just some shots that just need more than 120 frames a second. And this next shot is one of those shots. So we decided to drop the can in water, which actually looked very unique and pretty clean for this commercial since we did a white backdrop. You kind of couldn't even tell it was water at all until the can actually hit the water. So this shot is more of trial and error because you just want to make sure that the can falls into the water with the logo and graphics all facing up towards the camera. The only thing that would have made the shot look 1,000 times better is 1,000 frames per second. So as you guys know, I film most of my stuff vertically because most of my stuff is actually for TikTok and Instagram Reels. So with that being said, we had to film this commercial vertically as well. So unfortunately, our fish tank wasn't quite tall enough to shoot vertically. So on shoot day, we had to go to every single pet store with until we found a vertical fish tank. But yeah, it all worked out. We found a vertical fish tank and we filmed the can falling into the fish tank, which turned out great. Shot 7 was a shot for real men. It was a drill shot. Drill shot, kill shot. I would not. Drills aren't just a tool that you use to make your fiance wooden shelves for her pottery studio. They're great for commercials as well. So one of the reasons why I like using a drill over a Lazy Susan is because it's so much easier to find the center. For example, if we put a cup or a can or a product in the middle of the Lazy Susan, honestly nearly impossible to get it directly in the center of the Lazy Susan. And once that Lazy Susan starts spinning around, it's kind of hard to tell, but the cup will slightly shift left and right in the video. So if you're trying to match that up with other scenes and duplicate the take, it makes it extremely hard to match up. Where if we just use a drill and put it right through the center of the bottom and spin it around, it's almost perfectly in the center and doesn't move at all. So to amp up the shot just a little bit more in editing, I duplicated the takes, scaled them in, rotated them to get a final result that looked like this. All right, only 3 shots more to go. This shot is by far my favorite shot from the entire commercial. So to pull off this shot, we hung a can upside down from a fishing line on a C-stand and then poured water over the can. This allowed us to rotate the can back upwards in editing and create this epic effect that the water is defying gravity and coming off of the can. So this next shot is one of those shots that I think I might incorporate into every single beverage commercial that I do moving forward. It's just such a fun, dynamic looking shot that, especially now that I have the hang of it, it's not so hard to pull off. And in my opinion, the most impressive part about this shot is our Dolly tool that we're using is just a $40 camera roller that I found off Amazon. It's kind of a secret hack to getting high production value looking shots in a budget friendly way. All right, drum roll, we are on to the final reveal shot. Now this shot really isn't anything out of the ordinary or different than anything that I've done in the past. The only little hiccup we had was that we were shooting this video vertical, so whenever we pushed the camera on the slider backwards, you would start to see the slider at the bottom of the shot. So how we fixed this is we had Nate hold a white piece of paper and just move with me as I pushed the camera slider back. It sounds really simple, but it's actually a lot harder to pull off than you would think, because anytime the paper crinkled, rolled, or moved any which way, you would clearly be able to pick that up on the camera. But luckily within 5 or 6 shots, we were able to pull it off. And we were even able to time up the shot perfectly where one droplet of water falls down the can and then the camera movement slides back to reveal all of the cans and the lemons and limes surrounding them. It was honestly just the perfect ending to a killer commercial. So that's how we were able to pull off every single shot from start to finish. So without further ado, let's watch the final draft. So I hope you guys enjoyed that commercial as much as we enjoyed creating it. It was so much fun. Thank you again, Storyblocks, for sponsoring this week's video. If you guys want to learn more about them, again, I'll put everything you need to know in the description box below. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.